Hey, cool cat. Hey, everyone, it's another episode of Casually Christian, presented by Livestream My Event, and we have Emmanuel behind the scenes, and his wife Monique behind the laptop for to give us the Google search. So we're all connected on the internet, and today's topic, today's topic is male patterned baldness and the women that love it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No.
Sounds like a George Costanza kind
yeah,
of show.
It's a very Jerry Seinfeld-esque. But no, today we're doing the topic today is chatbots. No, chatbox.
You just lost all your viewers.
You
just lost all your viewers.
Yeah, it's chatbot, which is an AI, right? Artificial intelligence.
Chatter robot, yeah.
Chatter robot. And I have my guest, Steve Palacios. We've been friends since the 10th grade.
Well, yeah, the summer after, the summer before 10th grade. So
summer '99.
Summer. Yes, all the cool cats.
Yeah, but yeah, we've been friends since 1999, and we got along with each other. I mean, obviously, we're still friends after all this time, and every time we sit down, we just talk, and time just seems to fly by.
Nothing.
So
nothing,
So that's why I brought him in, because he has a lot of insight about this new technology.
Yeah.
That's not what you want to say. Like, I don't know anything about this, but yeah. So Steve, just introduce yourself. Whatever what have you been up to since this whole quarantine thing happened? You're working from home? Yeah.
It's like
you're like all sweating. Oh my,
yeah. It's like Christian forced me to be here. I was trying for the past hour to get out of here, as you can tell. But here we are.
Yeah, he's chained up.
You can see the. Well, you can't see them because they digitally edited them out. But I'm.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I know.
Okay.
You can't tell he's got the anyway.
Okay. What have you been up to since the quarantine, dude?
Nah, I mean, besides first being down when all that shit went down, when all this stuff went down, I've just been working. My work changed. It's more, boring stuff. Just working a lot. I'm working on some machine learning stuff for what I do at my job, which is very exciting. I really like what I do.
So, like, what's your job? Like, what do you do?
So
it's just very simple.
It's very simple. It's just a data analyst. So in the most simplest terms, I'm a data analyst. But the thing is, we're getting so much data now with spam robocalls. So we're getting a lot more coming in. I mean, it actually slowed down a little bit during the pandemic, but they made an update to our system, which is recognizing a lot more than we did before. And so they need somebody to be full-time on the project, somebody who can analyze the data coming in and quickly classify it. And
that sounds very complicated.
So it was very frustrating, and the people they had before in the past who were doing it part-time, they didn't enjoy it that much, but they did it, and I didn't enjoy it either. I mean, at first, because it was a lot of work, too much was coming in, so I knew there had to be a faster way to do it, and that's what
Are you the manager in this?
So no one's technically, I guess I can say now. They never actually said it, but I'm basically.
It's like it's unofficial, but you know what you're doing.
I'm unofficially the manager of this new department that they're creating. So that's what the CEO told me, and so basically I'm just working under the CEO, and he said they're trying to build this new department for managing the
from the ground up.
Huh? Yeah.
From the ground up.
So they're basically just trying to put me in charge of trying to create something that helps them better classify these robocalls. And so that's what I've been doing. I've been doing it full-time since March. And right when the pandemic happened, I got full-time the Monday, the first week that the pandemic started. And I've been doing that ever since. And I just came up with a breakthrough this past week, which allowed me to classify these robocalls. Because about 300 come in a day, and it's really hard to get through them in one day if you're just eyeballing them, doing it by eyeball. So I was trying to come up with a machine learning algorithm that helps me do them a lot faster, and I finally got it down last week. And,
that's really cool, man.
And I was like, for the first time in like 3 months, I've been caught up with everything. There's a lot more in my job that I have to do, but with this one aspect as far as initially classifying.
Hey,
them.
they were impressed, right, when you told your bosses about that?
Well, I haven't told them
yet.
Oh,
yeah,
I haven't told them
just
yet.
Dicking around now.
Because the main goal is they're trying to fine tune. It's not the word to use, but basically
You can use it.
fine tune them in a way where they're not just classified what type of robocalls there are. We also have this other segment where there's like campaigns. Every type is also separated.
But the majority of the robocalls, it's like that number or that whatever algorithm that it recognizes, right?
So they already had an algorithm in place that recognizes robocalls that were a lot like the ones that we've already classified, but anything that's under 80% match goes to this database as unapproved. Where that's the ones I have to look at.
It just spits them out.
Anywhere about 250 to 300 a day come in that are unrecognized, that are under the 80% threshold. So that I have to go through it, and so it was a lot. It's a headache, and and it's like it's a headache, and unless you have some kind of, Did
you have like a template to create that, or you created that from the ground up?
I just you can watch YouTube. Nowadays.
No, I'm not gonna watch. I'm not gonna watch that. Nah.
I know. It took me a few months to really start diving deep into these machine learning algorithms, and and it took a while for them to click, and it does take a while. Anything that has to do with computer programming.
Well, how long did it take you to click? How long when you were watching that? Like 12 weeks?
I'll figure one thing out, and then it leads me to another thing, and which leads me to another.
So rabbit hole.
So there's a lot of things I had to figure out, perfectly for everything to fall into place. And so this past week, actually, I got everything in just the right way, which allows me to do my job a lot faster. I can't even know how many times faster, but basically, like, what would take me where I couldn't even get through. Well, at the end of the day, I'd still be left with about 200 or more.
Do you have like do you have like a board in your room, like a mad scientist, where like you're creating like all these like?
Yeah, it's on the floor. I haven't hung up. I'm trying to.
No, for real? You do?
I'm trying not to hang everything on my walls in my new apartment, but I do have a board that's on the floor, leaning against the wall.
Do you have like strings where it's attached?
No, I never went that far. But the board does help, because if you're seeing it, if it's written and you look at it every day, it helps it to click. Because otherwise, if you don't look at it every day, you forget it, and then you're like, and then it gets tiring to have to look it up.
It's out of sight, out of mind type of thing, right?
And it's just frustrating to have to look it up every time. But if you have it written down, it's in visual. You just view it. It's in your, peripheral every day. You just, you memorize it a lot easier. And
so I think this is why you got that job, is because like you knew about Chatbot, right? Like,
they knew that They knew that I have my own website, cyberkins.com, which is it's a social network for chatbots. So a lot of people don't use it because a lot of people don't know what chatbots are.
Yeah, exactly. It's like since we just got into the topic, can you tell us what is Chatbot?
Chatbot is short
for somebody like just explain it to a 5-year-old. It's like Chatbot.
It's like go click response here.
Yeah.
No, but Chatbot's basically you're trying to make the computer act like a person. It goes all the way back into Alan Turing, who was a pioneer in the subject. Alan Turing wrote a paper back in 1950 about these chatter robots. He didn't call them chatbots back then. He didn't call them chatter robots either. He called them, I'm not sure if he used the term thinking machine. He used a different term. But basically the idea was the same, where you're trying to build a computer that mimics a human so much, it tricks a human into thinking the computer is actually a real person. So it makes the person think that they're actually talking to a real person, when really it's just a computer that's getting automated responses back to them that are so relatable that the person
it's indistinguishable.
Yeah. So basically Alan Turing defined artificial intelligence as being able to trick a person into thinking a human. A computer was human, because he believed that as long as a computer can trick a human into thinking that it was that a computer was human, then it passes the artificial intelligence test, which is known today as the Turing test. Well, that's one type of artificial intelligence test.
How many steps is the test, or like is it like long?
So they actually have this.
Is there something like you could like kind of like say right now?
They have it every year. Yeah, there's a few tests they have every year. There's one that's more popular than the others, where basically they have people chatting with computers, and one of them is actually the person. One test is a person. So it's like a psychology experiment. They have two. They have the A and the B, and one person is chatting with another person. Well, the person chatting thinks it's a computer, or is told it could be a person or a computer, and they have to decide whether it's one or the other.
Yeah.
And another person is chatting with something that is a computer, and then they have to decide whether it's one or the other. And if it goes to where a person thinks the computer is actually a real person, then that program passed the Turing test. You know, sometimes you have intervals too where it's multiple persons talking to the same program, and that people think it's a real computer. And there are tricks around doing this. Alan Turing even laid it out in his research paper, and the one program that actually passed the Turing test did exactly like Alan Turing described to do it in his paper, and that's the one that actually passed the Turing test. Where if you get a computer to say he is like a 13-year-old boy or 11-year-old boy, somewhere like a teenage boy, and so that way people think that the mistakes must be because they're just an adolescent, or they're not. They make typos and they don't know how to answer these questions. That's why he doesn't know how to answer me correctly, because he's just like anywhere from 10 to 13-year-old boy. He's not. That's why it's not because it's a computer. It's because he just doesn't know about what I'm talking about, and that's what somebody did, and it caused people testing that program to think it was a actual 10 to 13-year-old boy and not a computer. When in fact
I think it's very easy. I mean, people are catfishing people, so like I think that's people. I don't know. I think that it doesn't surprise me that people they mistake a robot to a person. You know what I mean? Because as soon as it sort of connects to that person, then they start building that personality on the other end. You know what I mean?
A lot of people think, or like emotions can't be attached to like robots or artificial intelligence, but that is. You find that to be completely false, especially when you watch a movie. You have these fictional characters that
like
it causes you to cry.
Yeah.
You're so invested in these characters who aren't even real. They're just projections on a screen. They're basically holograms, on a screen. And so it's like if you can have that kind of emotional attachment to a hologram that's being projected onto a screen, imagine if it was a physical like robot. People can
like tailored to you.
People can definitely have emotional connections with things that are artificial and.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, man. Because like I watch movies and I know it's fake, but you watch these stories and you get so invested in the story that you start feeling your heart rate racing because of the suspense and all that. Yeah. But I tell myself like this is just a fucking movie. What am I? why am I sweating? Why is my heart beating? But like, if that's just a movie that's not tailored to you, it's just a story. But if there's a robot, like an artificial intelligence that's like they're catered to, like be like a nurse or like a friend,
imagine
then you start getting attached to it.
Yeah, because a robot can definitely remember, a program, written the right way can definitely remember events that you tell it. If it's programmed that way, it can even bring back events. Like a program can say, oh, remember that time you said this and this and this. Yeah. Somebody reading that, it sounds just like it could be a real person, and you get invested, and a lot of people who don't have, that many friends or can relate those kinds of experiences with someone else. That's actually a human being would be emotionally invested in this program. And imagine the database of that program just being erased and gone. It's like the death of a person or somebody who knew a lot about you, or that you can talk to and could relate to. And so it's like I could definitely see how people could get emotionally invested in artificial intelligence.
How could you hear him? Like, yeah, it's perfect. Okay, good. What made you get into like chatbots? Like, what do you mean? Like, because there has to be. You just can't wake up. It's like, oh, I'm gonna start creating. I'm gonna get into this. I'm gonna create a program.
It's like chatbots.
Yeah. No, there had to be like a story or a person or an event that made you get into that. And I don't think he ever told me that.
Well, I mean, the apocalypse is coming. As long as I'm on their side.
Well, yeah, of course. All hail the robot lords.
No, what really was is I was studying psychology in college, and I didn't want to be a psychologist. I knew that, but I knew I loved the subject matter, and so I was trying to figure out what to do with it. And then I discovered this field called cognitive psychology, which is basically all about building models on how the way the mind processes information. And I was like, and the way to do that is on the computer. And that really struck me. And then because I had this idea too, where it was like, oh, I'm learning all these things that are fresh in my mind, and I could just recite them right off the bat. But then, like 10 or 20 years down the line, they're not as fresh, and I might forget everything that I really liked now. But if I, database them on a computer in a way where it's a conversational format, like a person, it could be like I'm building,
a personality,
right? That knows all these things that I always knew, that can recite them the way I would always wish I.
What's that android that has doesn't have like she's like considered a person now and she wants to have a baby? Like what's that robot's name? Do you know that? Like, do you know the name? That.
You know, I forgot the name. Oh, Sophia. There you go. I think it's
Sophia. I think it is Sophia.
I'm pretty sure it is, because that's the most popular one that's kind of going around right now. So I could be another one, but Sophia is a really popular name that is given to an AI that's a lot of people consider a publicity stunt, but I really don't know the actual sophistication of how they program that, robot. But there could,
because it could be somebody just kind of like feeding her lines, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, just like IBM. Sometimes I get skeptical, when IBM does those contests. I think when there was a chess experiment and then the Go experiment. I think that was IBM, right? And then,
what's the Go experiment? That sounds pretty cool.
Go.
So the Go.
Have you heard of the game called Go?
Nah.
That was a major breakthrough, and that blew my mind. And a lot of people didn't even know about what it was. So I was like, so before it even happened, a few years before it happened, a lot of people who were studying artificial intelligence were saying that it would be a while before an AI can pass the game Go, because there's this game called Go, which is really it's deceivingly simple. It looks pretty simple. It's a really ancient game too. It's been around it's one of the oldest games that's been around.
Kind of like the Oregon Trail. Not older or kind of.
But it's older. They say it's older than checkers. Older than chess. So that's.
Okay, it's older than
Oregon. It's a board game. It's a checkered board game, which is black and white pieces, and it's older than checkers and chess. It's been around forever, but it's really complex. It requires a lot of tuition. It's there's no way you can diagram all the moves. Every single move that would be the best move to make in every single position, and so there was like this challenge that people were saying it would be a long time before an AI could be the best Go championship. And then
when was that? Well, like what year was that?
So that was about 2000. Well, I found out about this about 2012, around that time. And then about a year or two later, it could have been maybe 2 or 3 years later, somewhere. Then a computer beat the world champion at Go, and it was unbelievable. It was weird. They got a computer to really do that. And it was using using all the cool stuff.
So like the chat box is like you create a personality, like say Einstein, right? Or some historical person, and you create like a personality. You can ask them questions, right? I remember you telling me something like that, right?
You could do that. So that's what I was doing was I wanted to get all the great. So I wrote a program on my website. So if you were to make a chatbot at cyberkins.com, you could go make your account based on a real person in the past by just copying and pasting the text of that person. There's a place when you first make an account where you can do that, and it'll break down all the text sentence by sentence using those as a response. So that it's like when you ask it something, it'll find the most relatable sentence that person said.
Speak to you, or is it like something that's just kind of like
it's just written out. It is possible to have the audio come out. I haven't recorded that, and I do have a feature on there where you could record your voice and use that in the response. When you record your voice, it'll also transcribe it, and so when it plays back, it'll play back your voice with the transcribed response as the response in your chatbot. So I do have that feature, but. Yeah, chatbots are still fairly new. I mean, I launched that website back in 2014, I think, like 2014, and no one's really used it. I don't advertise it much usually.
So, do you think the chat box has like real world bases, and like people could actually use right? What besides creating
a feature? See, this is what I see, and I believe it to be true, and I really strongly believe this is the future. Whereas every teacher is going to have their chatbot. Every professor is going to have their own chatbot.
So they're going to be replaceable?
So a chatbot can't replace a teacher, because a teacher does need to have a more focused in conversation with the student. But what a chatbot can do is you can make a chatbot to answer the most basic questions.
So it'll be like an assistant, like a Google, like a Siri or something like that.
So every teacher, every professor, every teacher is going to have a chatbot as their TA. So the chatbot is going to be the TA, and it could even be a TA to the TA.
That's so fucking cool. That's like Star Trek shit, man.
But that's where basically it's at. Like you can ask the chatbot like a very straightforward question that you might have missed in class, instead of emailing it to the professor or the TA and have somebody having to go through the emails or and having a response. You just have it in the chatbot. And, most common questions of the class, and then.
Do you think a chat box could also be like an assistant for say an executive or you know what I mean?
Yeah, one of the major uses people are trying to apply them to is healthcare. So healthcare is one of the number one places that people are trying to apply chatbots, because it's one of the most complex things to understand is your health insurance and how that works, and one of the most requested, sought out, for information.
Because people just constantly calling and constantly asking questions.
So healthcare is one of the number one uses for chatbots, and especially like anything that comes with legal issues as well. So those are the two main markets. And I think education, so I put education right below those ones. But as soon as we get something that's pretty useful for healthcare, and right now I'm also in another project that's trying to build a chatbot to help with HR. So we're trying to build an HR chatbot. So and that's another way chatbots will be useful is people will have questions instead of going maybe they're embarrassed to go to HR. Chatbot can help answer certain questions that people might be embarrassed to go.
Yeah, because it doesn't spread rumors.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
So So in HR is supposed to be more professional.
So what companies off the top of your head, or if you do know, that uses chatbot?
So not on top of my head, I don't know.
I mean, can you pull out your phone and just kind of like, No, but there are companies that are using that, or
I'm sure there is. I really don't know any off the top of my head. I can't name.
That's cool.
But but really, you think about where AI is going. Like, there's no stopping it. It's getting better and better every single year.
This week it said that artificial intelligence is going just faster than the speed of light. I don't know if you read that headline or if you read that article.
Well, I don't know how you would.
I don't know, but that's. I mean, like I read that. I read that.
It's kind of vague, and if you ask me.
Well, I didn't read the article. I clicked like.
Moore's law is the basic standard for how fast technology progresses. So Moore's law basically states that it doubles every 1 or 2 years. 1 or 2 years, technology will double in the amount of. It was originally for hardware and processor speed, but. It's also can be applied to software as well, and that's kind of like where the standard is of how technology progresses. So it is kind of like a exponential. Technology is exponential, and it grows exponentially every single year. And there's even a famous technologist called Ray Kurzweil who predicts that this exponential curve in technology will reach a singularity. A singularity is where it moves so fast, it progresses so fast. There's no way we'd be able to keep up with it. The only way would be to merge with technology, or like biologically merging with technology in order to keep up with the progression of technology. But he says that's going to happen by the year 2045, and he said that's a modest estimate, which means it'll probably happen before the year 2045. But he says he believes and it will happen by then. And Ray Kurzweil has been a very credible source when it comes to the progression of technology and where things will be a few years down the line, especially since he used to be one of the heads at DARPA, which is like the government technology. Yeah. And then he was also at Google. I think he still is at Google, in working with there. So he's been one of the heads in these major technology, organizations, and so and it's because of his reputation. He's been making these theories since like the 80s, if not earlier, maybe even since the 70s. I think just since the 80s, and he's for the most part been pretty accurate. So if you want to know where how the speed of technology and where it's going to be and going on, I would suggest looking into Ray Kurzweil, who a lot of people do debate him and disagree with him. A lot of other people in the field, but he's been pretty accurate. So.
So he's a credible source. Like, he knows what he's talking about. I mean, if they have him at Google and the government, they had him for DARPA. He was working for DARPA. Yeah, they hired him for
Google.
A reason. Yeah.
They had him there for a reason. So, yeah, he's pretty.
So does chatbot and AI, they're one and the same, or they're like two separate things, or
chatbot's a low-level form of AI. Okay. So a lot of people think chatbots is like a joke of AI. So chatbots are basically AI's joke, and because they're so simple, It's like an infant.
They're like something like that.
Yeah. So that is a very good way. So chatbots are like the baby AI. It's like it still just feeds off of milk and so that's what it is. And that's all it is. Chatbot's a little infant compared to where AI could be. Yeah. And the thing is, the bar for AI changes as soon as a calculator used to be considered AI. Because you think about it, think about the idea before calculators even existed. Think about people talking about, imagine there was a machine that can calculate the same mathematical problems that we do in our head. Imagine that there was a machine that can do that. That was not a living person.
And they created it, and that machine was
so
like
that
as big as a room
idea alone was considered artificial intelligence. Yeah. And then once a calculator was created, became popular, that wasn't considered anymore. It was considered like this low-level form in kind of a joke kind of a way. And so like you're like, oh no, AI is actually this and this. So the bar rises every single time. And and Ray Kurzweil makes a point about that with the Siri thing too. He was saying like Siri's become so much more like with Apple, Apple's chatbot system named Siri.
That's what I was going to ask you. If Siri was a chatbot.
It's debatable, but most people
sort of. Well, what do you think?
It's semi-chatbot. It's not technically, but it's. Is
it a step above? Or
no, it's like an assistant. It's more of a a virtual assistant. If you want to go fine line tuning, it's kind of like the way you define genres of music. So it's just, it's more of a virtual assistant than a chatbot. Chatbot's supposed to be able to hold lines of conversation, whereas Siri is more of a virtual assistant in that sense. It could hold a conversation, kind of, not really.
So it's like, do you think it's like a thin line between?
That's
a no.
So, I would still say a chatbot just to make things easier. But if I was to actually be classifying it, I would say it's a virtual assistant, and it's still different than what we consider a chatbot to be. But yeah, and Ray Kurzweil noticed he used Siri as an example, saying that when Siri first came out, people said, oh, it's not that good, and then now he said Siri became a lot more advanced than what it used to be, and it's actually really good. But then when you show it to someone now, people are like, oh, that's been around forever.
Yeah.
So it's not even. Yeah. So people. So the bar always changes. Like people aren't impressed with technology.
Do you think the chatbot is a novelty? Do you think it's just like a novelty? Like, well, do you think it's going to go away, or do you think it has a future?
No. It's. I mean, it's kind of like the. What's it called? Tamagotchi? Is it Tamagotchi or what's it called?
I don't know.
Those things, the little digital pets or those.
Oh, from the 90s?
Yeah. Is it Yama or Tama? Tamagotchi. I forget. But yeah, so it's like that. Well, nobody uses those anymore, but chatbots, I think, will have their moment, and where they're going to get to a point where everyone's going to be using them. And then they're probably going to get dated, They'll probably last about a few years, and then they'll get dated, and everyone will have the next big thing, the next step of chatbots, and then they'll become antiquated, But chatbots, I believe, will have their moment in where everyone's going to have one.
It's just waiting for like that one niche or that one thing before somebody.
Yeah, I mean the environment is here though, because everyone, like right now it's like. The environment to cook a really good chatbot is like it's right now it's boiling, it's settling, like everything, all the ingredients, all the ingredients are there. Yeah. It's marinating, it's sizzling in there.
Yeah.
But it just hasn't been fully cooked yet. Once everything's been fully cooked and in place and served, chatbots will have their moment, and everyone's gonna have them. They'll be big for a while, and then it'll probably just die out because something new will come along, something better than because everything is always a stepping stone, And I believe that chatbots are the first initial step into a strong AI, which is where a lot of controversy comes, and a lot of people debate about it, and you see these debates about with Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg talking about different opinions.
I'm sure you heard that Elon Musk wants to create like a chip to put in your head so you can talk to people without talking, right?
Well, they already, the military has something, I don't know it's not a chip, but 10 years ago when I was reading a lot about this, Scientific American published an article about what the military was working on, and I should read Scientific American more often because that's a lot of stuff in there is trippy. But but it was a story in Scientific American with the military basically using EEG. They were basically mapping the mind, the way the mind
works.
When you think about something,
mapping the brain, right?
They were mapping the brain, and then they were databasing it. So they were saying, okay, when you think about this subject, your mind work functions this way, and then when you think about this subject, the mind functions this way. So what they were doing was they were trying to make something to where you can transfer a command from one person to the other without actually saying anything. So you would think about it. You'd be wearing this helmet that recognizes your thought pattern, and it would say, oh, his mind is functioning this way, so he must be thinking about this. So the command must be this, and they would send that over to the other person who said like, oh, this person's thinking about.
And
this.
they felt it like.
And so, well, no, it could just say it.
Like,
I mean, who knows how it transmitted
it?
But I mean, in theory, you could just have something tell it to you. Well, I guess you're right. If it was trying to be without words, I don't even know how they would.
Like a picture or a feeling, right?
Maybe. Who knows?
I don't know.
I just knew the story was kind of vague. It was just basically saying that they were working.
This guy told me.
Well, it was in Scientific American magazine, so.
Well, this science
10
guy
years
told
ago.
me.
I'll have to look that up again. Somewhere around 10 years ago. But the technology that exists, it's like crazy. You think about what it is, especially drones. But in the past. Like 10 years ago, they had drones that were the size of flies. That's been around for a while now. So I was like, wow, that's been around for like 10 years. Well, where is this technology out now? The same thing with cloning. Cloning happened with that sheep back when I was,
it was in middle school.
20 years ago. Yeah. Well, it was 20 years. It was high school actually, but so when we were in high school. So that was like about 20 years ago, when we were in high school, not to date ourselves. But that's when
we're old.
Cloning happened, and you don't hear too much about it just on the regular news.
It's like a norm now, right?
Oh,
we could clone
nobody
somebody.
Nobody talks about it. That's the thing, and it's because it's very controversial. But the thing is, just because no one's talking about it doesn't mean there's still things somewhere around the world that could be happening with cloning.
Oh, absolutely, man.
Who knows?
I saw this ancient aliens thing. No, UFO hunters. So this episode they found like some kind of like a man pig, and the pig looked like a person, and it was shaped like a pig, and but his face looked like a man.
Have you watched Seinfeld, bro?
No, I know you're talking about that episode. But I know what you're talking about.
Thing.
No, but like when they showed the photos, like it was real, like I don't know, but I guess. Well, anyways.
Like Kramer, man, you're gonna walk into a hospital one day. I know what you've been doing here.
We'll talk about Seinfeld some other day, because I have plenty.
Right now. Talk about nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing.
Would you do those experiments? Would you put like a chip in your head, and upload your consciousness to a chip, so you could live forever? And what does that mean? Like, it's like you die and then they upload your consciousness. Is that still you, or is that like so? There's like, you know what I mean? Like,
so look at that's a debate. So like I was gonna ask you, if you lose your arm and you replace it with a synthetic arm, are you still the same person? Are you still the same person?
Yeah.
If you lose half of your brain, like it goes dead, but the other half is still working, are you still the same person because you could still portray the same personality, even though half your brain is dead? You still got this half that's working.
It's still you,
and you could still act pretty much the same way you were.
Yeah.
Are you still the same person? Like if you lose an eye and you replace it with a prosthetic eye, so it's like how much can you replace of yourself?
But
before people consider that you're.
But if you're completely dead, then you're dead. But the person, the AI that takes over your conscious after your point of death, it's not. I wouldn't say it's you. It's just something that's uploaded, and the real you died.
Well, then that goes into debate where like our computer is actually alive. Like, do you consider computers who could actually make calculations the same way a human can, and even mimic conversation the same way a human can? What's to say that computer itself is not actually, a person? Like, obviously, computers are not as complex in the way that they process information, or at least as far as I know, as much as the same way a human can. But it's like in a low level form, it could still think, very similar to the way a human can. So what's to say that a computer's not actually thinking like a living organism? Like you say, a fly is a living organism, but it doesn't think anywhere near the way a human can, but it's still a living organism. So what's to say a computer that can think even more than a fly can?
But a computer is not breathing.
Computer is not,
it doesn't breed or breathe.
Living,
it only programs.
That's a good point. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't actually.
It doesn't procreate. I mean, then again, gay people.
But then at the point where a computer might be able to, program another program that's just like it, who's to say that that's not the computer just breeding, creating another program, or you know.
But you didn't answer me. Would you
upload
your consciousness to a computer? Say if it didn't cost you anything, and say, hey, Steve, we'll upload your consciousness, so if you have the option to, you pass away, you can still continue. Would you do that?
I mean, I would. I mean, it's up to the people left behind that decide whether to keep it or not. I definitely would. And
no, I'm just saying, like, if you would upload you'll just upload you to a new body or whatever, like ultra carbon, like, and you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because a lot of people,
then again, that's
a lot of people think they're thinking more like silicon, because computers are silicon based, and they think
but you'll be uploaded
it's silicon thinking and silicon life. Real life, since we're all carbon based. So the thing is, we go into the point where we're going to cloning, where you're actually replicating a carbon based life form that's a clone. Is that a real life form?
Mm-hmm.
So you consider a carbon based life form that's a clone a real life form, but a silicon based computer that can think very similar to a human, not a real life form, just because it's different.
Yeah.
So it's just this whole debate about. What if you get a computer that's very much acts, talks, and maybe thinks very much similar to the way a human can, but because it's silicon based, it's not the same as a clone that can act, think, and talk. Because it's carbon based. You say a carbon based clone is a living life form, but a silicon based artificial intelligence is not a living life form. And that's the whole debate.
Yeah, it's a debate, right, man? Like. Have you seen this show? I only caught a couple episodes called Download. It's on Amazon, where this guy, he uploads his consciousness to a computer, and he lives like in this sort of paradise in this resort. And he got in an accident, and he had no choice but to upload himself into that. And I don't know, man. Like it sounds cool, but if you're always living there, I think wouldn't you call that hell or purgatory? Because you're just living the same thing. There's no meaning to it because you can't die. And life loses its meaning. You know what I mean?
It's like the whole Matrix,
Yeah.
It's like the whole thing in the first. In the first
there's
Matrix
part of me does want to upload myself to like a machine when I pass away, but another part, like, what does it matter? Because it won't be me. It's just it won't be me. Like after I pass away.
How do you know?
Exactly. You don't know. And at what point does you living forever become like, it starts off cool, but then it could be hell. How can you be erased? Maybe somebody owns your soul, and you can't be deleted. You know what I mean?
What is consciousness? And that's the whole thing. What is consciousness? What defines a person to know that? I think, therefore I am. Like.
Oh, I heard that quote before.
Descartes, as the famous, him trying to explain, how does he know he really exists? How does he know he's actually, alive, and this is not just one big illusion?
Yeah.
He says, so he came to the conclusion, the philosophical, statement. I think, therefore I am. So he says, I can think, he can make his choices and his own thoughts. Therefore, he actually exists as something that is in existence. So. What is thinking? What qualifies thinking?
I'm pretty sure you've seen AI, right? The Steven Spielberg movie.
Yeah.
What did you think about that movie? Because I thought it was pretty underrated.
I mean, it was. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. It's just I don't watch it too much. As far as being an engaging movie is another conversation.
Yeah.
It's not too engaging in a way.
It's because Spielberg, he made that movie for Stanley Kubrick. That was a Stanley Kubrick idea.
Yeah.
And he was shooting it out of his style, the way he narrates a movie. You know what I mean? It doesn't start off right away. It's very it takes its time. You know what I mean? Thinking about that, because this boy wants to be real, and he wants to be a real boy, and he gets trapped in this, he's the last record of humanity, and the aliens, they excavate him out from a cube, and I think that's crazy. That's I don't know. I didn't think about it too much when I first watched it, but
aliens are another story too.
Yeah, that's another topic.
Aliens. What's to say? Why don't the aliens have their own robots? And who says the aliens were actually the native aliens and those weren't actually clones of the real aliens that found the AI that the humans left behind? You know?
That's too big of a.
I mean, you go into that like with that much technology. You know, like, oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, there's a theory that aliens are just our future selves, and those are just time traveling humans.
Yeah, and time is another conversation. What is time? You know, we've discovered tachyons that are particles that can weave in and out of time. You know, so it's like
there's a theory that this is all a simulation. Like, you and me, or this is just a computer.
Elon Musk has been said to kind of like hint in that direction, saying. He kind of, I'm not sure if he said it straight out. He might have.
But yeah, he did say something like he believes that we live in a simulation.
Yeah, the simulation because of what he's seen, the way the universe works. And there's another theory. There's another theory where people think time accelerates, or because they found that the universe has come together. The universe that we perceive has come together in a way that's a lot quicker than expected. It seemed like a lot of things happened too perfectly in a short amount of time than what is. So Stephen Hawking.
It just seems like our acceleration is just too quick from like.
There's something, and there's something weird going on. I think it has something to do with the way time works. There's something about the way that the space and time are woven together, and where it's just our perception.
I think we've been messed with with aliens and stuff like that, you know?
Who's to say that we can even understand it at all? Because like if people are thinking like humans can be a know-it-all of the of the universe, but what if in theory we're just ants in this entire we have the intelligence of an ant compared to a broader aspect of, or even less than an ant or something that we have the intelligence. That's pretty smart. That's pretty. But what if our intelligence are something that's so
in the scope? You know what I mean? Because like compared to about like aliens,
the broader scope of the universe,
who are traveling in space, like in their technology, like we're just monkeys to them, if even that,
I know.
And
we could. Who knows? So that's why Ray Kurzweil goes into that whole thing where. We're going to be merging with technology by 2045 because that's the only way to keep up. And he believed like years down the line, where everything's going to have light, like everything's going to be interconnected, like communicating with each other because it's going to be alive. Every rock and everything's going to have some kind of light. We're going to be able to connect with it, like a life form. Everything that doesn't seem like it's a life form will be connected to everything like a life form. So it goes into this whole thing.
Like the Borg from Star Trek?
I don't know.
No, oh, shit. Well, you look like you watch Star Trek, dude.
I never watched Star Trek, unfortunately.
Bitch.
I'm like, Star Wars, never Star Trek. But
oh, dear God.
I'll watch every episode one day. Which one? Is that Next Generation or is that the original?
Next Generation is pretty good,
Next Generation?
Yeah.
Are you quoting Next Generation or are you quoting the one before that?
Shit, what did I say?
Yeah, you said Borg.
The Borg. Next Generation.
That's Next Generation?
Yeah.
Okay.
And after they keep on bringing it almost every season. I don't think they brought it in Deep Space Nine, but for sure they brought it.
Okay.
And they brought it again with the new one with the Picard show. They bring back the Borg again. I haven't caught that, and I can't wait because they have it in CBS, and I can't. Well, anyways,
I'll have to.
Yeah. Anyways,
I'll have to check out Star Trek. I know Star Trek's really good show. A lot of people. And it's all political, it's really. I've seen a few.
But even in Star Trek, they have that question we were saying, because Data. Do you know the character Data?
Yeah.
Well, they had an episode where this person from the Federation, they wanted to take Data and dismantle him so they could study him, and they had a court, they were judging Data to see if he was actually sentient or an object.
Data couldn't tell them himself?
No, Picard was on his behalf. You know what I mean? He was his lawyer, and somebody was arguing against him because he was literally they were arguing for his life. You know what I mean?
Well, Data couldn't tell them that he.
No, I mean, of course he did. You know what I mean? Of course
Why
he
did
did.
they want to dismantle him?
Because
the
scientists wanted to see what made this android different. Why
Data
did? Because other.
Does Data know the mappings of his?
Yeah, he does.
So how come he couldn't just draw it out?
Because this guy, this guy wanted he wanted to dissect them. You know what I mean? it's
He's
fucked
like,
up.
by the way, Data's gotta die.
Yeah.
Like Data's gonna die.
Yeah. And that was the whole episode about what is he? Is he a robot or is he a sentient being? And of course, like, you know,
what did Data say? Did Data ever give an answer?
Oh, he gave like this big monologue and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Very I can't fucking remember it. But, but it was a really fucking good episode.
And see, that's the whole debate. You know, like is something? Is artificial intelligence really alive? Or do you consider it a type of life form? You know, and that goes into my debate. Like, just because something works the same way as us when it's carbon based, if you were to make a clone, was to say something that acts just like a silicon based, and
so
say
check this out, man.
That's not
so
a living thing.
So say we're in the future and we have like robot servants and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Are they slaves? You know what I mean? Because we don't pay them, but they could feel. You're saying they could feel. They could like no.
See, that's the
but
thing.
But that's the thing. A person has to feel. I mean, even if you're a sociopath,
that might be that might be the one thing that might differentiate, or not one. It might be one of many things. Who knows? Could differentiate AIs from living things. Who knows if a robot will be able to feel, be able to love. What is love? You know, and what is?
See, like in 2001, Hal was fearing for his existence. So, you remember 2001, right? Like, they made some mistakes and it cost, like, the spaceship.
Well,
like,
I don't know if that's...
And, like, he... Like,
I don't even know that's a debate because... it might be a debate. I'm going to look into that.
Because he didn't want to be shut off because he was scared.
It could be an emotional or logical contradiction because...
Boy, that's still an emotion,
you said fear. You said fear meaning like, oh, he was fearing for his life.
Yeah.
Or it could have been... It could have been illogical where they wanted to shut him down, but he knew that if they shut him down, he wouldn't be able to finish the mission.
Yeah.
So that's a logical thing. So I always saw it as logical. I never really saw it as a fear.
Well,
I think people interpret it
the same
as fear, like he was fearing for his life, an emotional thing, but he was actually logically
executing
saying
the mission.
If he got shut down, the mission would not be completed and he had to complete his mission. So it's more, to me, I always saw more of a logical. But who knows? And that's where the whole, like, I think that might have been what the whole movie was about, or the whole debate.
That debate?
No, debate. It could have been, yeah. Was he
movie,
actually fearing for his life, or was he just logically trying to finish the mission knowing that he couldn't finish it if they shut him down? So...
Well, shit, man.
So, I don't know. I mean, and then what is emotion? Emotions are chemical, right? The chemicals, like you learn in psychology, we study the biology of the way the mind, does things. It's all electrochemical,
Oh yeah, man. Like love is just a chemical reaction in your brain and just releases like dopamine. Like you're.
Yeah, I mean, you got these happy chemicals like dopamine, serotonin, and
also like instincts too, because you want to procreate. You know what I mean? You want to continue your bloodline and all that stuff. So we're animals.
Oxytocin is the love chemical. You got oxytocin, the chemical that makes you feel like you're in love. There's dopamine.
I think the moment for me, like where if AI starts, like if AI and human, like they married each other and they want the AI says I'm in love with my master or whoever. I would start considering like they're actually sentient, because like love is a human thing, Can artificial intelligence love, instead of just being intelligent?
Maybe not in the same way a carbon-based, person would. Who knows? Like,
I mean, because like say like there's say like you have like a room full of AIs and they're like their family, and then like they discontinue like a whole bunch. Will they still be disconnected? It's like, oh, I lost Harry the other day, but he's a toaster now. So, I mean,
no, I mean I'm not going to say because I don't know. I don't think anyone really knows for sure.
And I think that's why Westworld's so popular, because those the characters, they're artificial intelligence, they're robots, and they want to live. They want to I don't know. One of the characters, she keeps on losing her daughter, and her whole arc is about seeing her daughter again.
You watch the show?
Yeah, of course I watch the show. Yeah,
oh, yeah.
And then the daughter's she's also she's a robot. She's AI, and it asks those questions. You know what I mean? Because like people go into this world of Westworld, and they kill, they rape, and they treat these robots like hell, and that's why those robots uprise, because they're done taking it, because they're meant to feel. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. went to The Office. And,
I can't believe you haven't watched that show. Oh no, you haven't finished
What?
the last season.
What?
Westworld.
Yeah, I haven't seen the last 2 episodes of the last season. Unfortunately, I've been watching it, since. And I really do like the take that they did on it. And when I heard they were going to make a series out of the movie, the famous 1970s movie based on Michael Crichton's script. Big fan of Michael Crichton, for people who don't know. Michael Crichton, author of Jurassic Park,
Congo,
and
Outbreak,
a ton of other movies like Twister. He wrote the screenplay. He was a co-author to the screenplay for Twister. All of his books and have been turned into movies.
Blockbusters.
He's also ER, the creator of the TV show.
Oh
ER.
yeah, I didn't know about ER.
Yeah, he's the creator of the TV show ER, but he only wrote the pilot. So he only wrote in the pilot. I think he directed the pilot too, but he definitely wrote it. So all of his books have been pretty much been turned into movies. So he's a very good author. He's always been my favorite, and I heard they're bringing back that movie that he wrote into a show, and so I was excited, and it was a different take in the movie. So I was like, okay, they made the show kind of like more modern, how they make all these shows.
They had to.
Had to. It was like the same kind of modern feel that all these other shows have, and I was like, okay, but then they had a nice twist. I like all the twists that Nolan was giving every episode. Like every episode had this really pretty good twist that kept me watching. I'm like interesting, and some certain things I knew that people who didn't really know much about what was going on with AI wouldn't catch, when they were watching it. And so that's what I liked about it. I was like, oh yeah, like certain words when he was asking Dolores, like, would you ever harm a living thing or something like that? And she said no, and then she said, of course not. And it's that the fact that she said, of course not, which was like very suspicious, and AI would never. Well, you can make an AI say that, but then you can make an AI say that to make it sound more human. But it sounds suspicious if you have like an AI that's supposed to be at that advanced level. Say of course not, like they're trying to hide something. Yeah. Like why would they double down on did it with instead of just giving like a straight answer like no. And then it turns out, like at the end of the episode, she ends up talking to fly.
You're giving too much away, dude.
That's the first episode.
Oh, okay.
The first episode.
But have you seen Black Mirror?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about that show? That show's really good.
It's a good show too. I like the episode about that. When she loses her husband and he.
Which one?
I forgot what it's called.
Because they're all fucked up.
But she loses her husband. She's reluctant to go to this company that could turn him into a chatbot. And she eventually caves in and has him turn to a chatbot. Then they said they could add video and voice, and so she adds that video and the voice. And then they say,
and then they bring him back.
They can bring him.
Yeah,
they can make a body.
That was a really good episode, man. Yeah.
So then she goes that far where it's.
Do you remember that part where like
and,
the guy he was listening to this song? I think it was like a disco song, and he was all dancing to it, and the girl's all like, "Oh, I didn't know you like disco. There's a lot of things you don't know about me just because I don't post it online or whatever." And then the robot was doing the same fucking thing. It was always fucking flies. He was doing the same thing, and he turned that off. He made fun of the song, and that girl she found out that like that's not really him. It's just a chatbot. It's nothing. You know what I mean?
What episode was this?
It was the episode that you're talking about. It was that same episode because it's like those little details that I like about Black Mirror.
Crazy. Yeah, Black Mirror is basically it's a warning on technology. And
it's a cautionary tale, man.
It's cautionary tales about the what's the word? Where technology could be, where it could go if we're not careful. What could happen, and like a satire. Black Mirror is a satire of technology. It's all
a dark satire.
It's all technology that exists today. Basically, like you look about it, it's like, oh yeah, all this technology actually exists. But then they go the next step forward. They say this is where it could end up if we continue on this path. And so it's really good cautionary tales and a good satires on where we might end up if we choose the wrong path with technology, and is that somewhere that we really want to go. And so that's one kudos to Black Mirror for that. Like today's Twilight Zone and
it's like the Twilight Zone and Outbreak and the Outer Limits and Tales from the Crypt had a fucking movie. You know what I mean? Because like there is an episode that reminded me of Tales from the Crypt. Yeah. It was like, have you watched the whole series? Or not really?
The whole series.
Well, there is an episode where this guy he was the owner of a museum, the Black Mirror Museum. And he was going through the different tales of each product that he had, and all those tales were fucked up. And it reminded me of like a tale from Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah,
that's fucking good.
kills from the crib.
Is that how loud is that that helicopter? Pretty loud? Yeah. Is it cutting me out? Can you hear me? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bro. I'll just go like this and shit. We're pausing for a little bit. How long are we? Like 40 minutes? 55 minutes?
I'm like,
I thought it was like at least maybe 40, 30, 55 minutes, right? Crazy, dude.
5 minutes, man. Going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, this is like the longest podcast we've been.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Well, we've been going down this rabbit hole, man. Technology, it's never ending. It's just you're gonna keep diving deeper and deeper and deeper. I told you, this fine line, and that's where the singularity comes in, and that's where the whole Ray Kurzweil, the singularity, that he predicts would happen somewhere around 2045, is what is.
I hope I'm still alive. I mean, I should be. Barring my health.
Yeah.
But I want to see that, man. I want to see AI. I want to see fucking aliens come. You know what I mean? I want to see all that shit.
They're already here.
Yeah. They Pentagon already admitted it. Like,
well,
the
Navy came out and they even released another press release. I think a few weeks ago.
Would you consider this disclosure?
There are aircrafts that are out of this world. That's how they labeled them. They labeled them as
not made from this planet.
Not of this world. Not of this world. Transportations or aircraft, whatever they said it, are not of this world. So the Navy has come out and admitted to that, for the first time in, as far as I know, the first time in history. And, it's like nobody's talking about it, really.
Yeah, nobody's talking about it. I'm like, all right, yeah.
And Navy admitted that
it's a big deal? TikTok. That's getting more headlines.
China.
Yeah, China.
That is the real threat.
I don't understand why is the U.S. tripping about like TikTok? It's because like TikTok, like China owns it and they're getting like our information.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're always
people
afraid,
dancing in the street and
it's
shit.
proximity. You're always afraid of what's right next door. It's like, who cares what's out of this world? China's just right around.
Yeah, I know.
Look
at this fucking damn video.
We didn't even know. We know nothing about them creatures. Which we don't.
Yeah.
So who knows,
about
dude?
TikTok.
Like.
Yeah.
Dang, it's just what to think about them. Like, you have to think, like, nobody. I don't think anyone wants to really admit it. Like, people hear about it.
It's scary, man, because it breaks it breaks everything.
Nobody's talking about it. I'm like, oh yeah. And in other news,
the Navy
admitted to aircraft that are out of this world existing on this planet.
Because think about it. Because like, if they're admitting to that, then they have to admit at least a certain part of the population is being abducted by aliens. And what does that fucking say?
Have you seen Unsolved Mysteries on
of course,
Netflix?
I seen that UFO one.
That
UFO one. I mean, think about that shit, dude. I'm like, if aliens come down and they actually proclaim themselves and we know about it, what about those people who did get abducted? Well, I mean, are we going to put these aliens to court?
Makes you take them a lot more seriously, and it's just kind of like, and I don't know, I've always been skeptical with aliens, it's one of those things. Of course, you have to be because who do you know has been abducted? How many people know people who've been abducted? And even if you do know someone's been abducted, how likely are you to believe that they were actually abducted by, quote-unquote aliens that are out of this world? Maybe they were on some bad drug trip or something like that, or it was all just a dream. People lucid dreaming.
So you saw that episode. Well, what did you think? Do you think those kids were abducted? Do you think that happened? Because these people didn't know each other. Those kids, and they all share the same.
Who knows? I don't know what to believe with that because it was just.
I've
only seen it on that one. I've only seen it on Unsolved Mysteries. I have not seen it. I haven't really looked into it. So it's Unsolved Mysteries, a TV show. So obviously, I guess Unsolved Mysteries tries to go and get some credibility. They I think it seems like they do. Who knows? I never looked into it. I really don't know about that particularly about aliens, but as far as my own personal belief, the Navy had just came out and admitted that these spacecraft that are not of this world actually exist on this, that have been going to this planet. So obviously, if you trust the Navy and the military, the U.S. military, then there's something out there that's beyond us. So you have to kind of go about. There's your credibility. The U.S. military. Who else are you going to believe? You're going to believe, the U.S. military? Do you believe them?
There's also people who are
we knew all along,
who are saying who could say that this is just the government trying to distract us. You know what I mean? Like they're just
Well,
putting
no,
throwing out
this
there.
was released before COVID. I don't know if you heard about it. Did you read it before COVID?
Oh,
this came out in October. I think it was October or November
of
last year.
I always follow this.
This was released in October or November of last year, or somewhere around that time.
But they're also saying like they're just getting ready for us for like the big, like the disclosure, like the big event. You know, just giving us little pieces here and there.
Yeah, and they said they were gonna. I think every 6 months they're gonna release new information about what they found. And so there was something about it said I read that the Navy is going to release every 6 months another case of something that they found, you know, that relates to this craft, this spaceships that are, or aircraft that are not of this world, aircraft. So we just gotta wait. You know, it was 6 months. Let me see, was it 6 months ago? Yeah, they released it around somewhere around October, November last year. Then they released it again around about 6 months later. It was the same story. So maybe 6 months they'll either bring it up again or something new. You know, who knows?
Do you think those spacecrafts have a chatbot? Chatbots in it?
Who knows? Like who is really big on following the story? Do you know Tom?
Whoa.
Sorry, Tom DeLonge from.
Oh yeah, man, from Blink-182.
You've been following his.
I don't follow it, but I know he made like a documentary or two about.
I haven't even seen it. I haven't even looked up.
I've
been wanting to look up
like a trailer
something about him talking more about it. I haven't had the chance to look it up. I just seen a few clips of him talking about it, and so. But I know he's dedicated like a good part of his life.
Yeah,
like trying to get the government to release what they just did at the end of last year, and because somehow he kind of knew about it. He just kind of went on this whole trail. He even left the band, or left opportunities that could have helped Blink-182 just to pursue this whole that aliens are out there. The truth is out there, kind of a thing that he's been doing going.
Aliens. I do believe they exist, and I do believe they're using like an artificial intelligence to help them out, because there has to be. There's no way. What do you think? If
no, but it's probably to the. I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know. Well, I was good. Let's go right here. All right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I really, no one knows about aliens or anything. Where they're at right now. But I believe, my own personal opinion, from what I've been reading with technologists, how they think technology and biology will eventually merge. They're probably one and the same. They probably believe that technology and biology are the same, and
they're one and the same, right?
Because eventually we're the technology that we have here will reach that point where
the singularity.
And it's funny that this whole COVID thing happened, because it kind of made me think what if this is a way to push that whole agenda for, because I never believe in these conspiracies at the top of my head, but it makes me think of these conspiracies. So it's kind of like, what if this whole, this whole COVID thing, because, so now we have a reason, to I forgot what it was, to be more safe, to do things that we normally wouldn't do, to be safer, so that we could live through some virus that might kill all of us, So it's like, so there's certain things like that happen, if you're talking about conspiracies, there's still all conspiracies. So
we're gonna have I want to have an episode where we talk about all conspiracies from A to Z, man.
Yeah, this is my own. This is all my own. I don't actually believe that this is what's happening, but this is this would make. I just think that this would make a pretty good conspiracy if someone were to say, oh, the government's doing this, because it would be a really good reason, if you had a virus that was killing everyone, that's a good reason. Oh yeah, if you don't merge yourself or implant maybe something in your body, now you could die. So this is why you should implant this technology into yourself.
Yeah.
It's either that or die, because we have this virus that's killing everyone. So, so that gets people more towards the idea of oh yeah, maybe I should merge my body with technology and implant this in me so that I can stay alive rather than die because there's a virus killing every biological system, every biological person on this planet. And so that's what it makes me something that's a virus that's maybe, more potent than what's going on now with COVID could be a good way to get people to merge with, get their biology merge with technology, regardless of their beliefs. What they believe is right or wrong, because they'll die either way. And of course,
make it mandatory.
Well, it wouldn't be mandatory. It'd be it's either this or die. It's your choice. And they make more people do it, be willing to accept it than than others. So I'm like, of course that's not what's going on now, and that's not something I believe. But it made me think like,
yeah, it's just
that would be
yeah.
that would be a good way to get people like the singularity, is happening where we would have to merge with technology in order to survive, life or death situation like a virus or something like that would be a good reason for people to want to merge, regardless of what they believe or whether they believe it's morally ethical or not.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think that's ethical?
What?
Merging yourself with technology.
Well, what would you think? What do you think it would or wouldn't be?
For me, I mean, I don't care what somebody does. Like, if they merge themselves, like, I wouldn't say like they're unethical or something that they want to do.
Is there anything that says it's against,
I don't know. I mean,
I'm
it's talking about like people.
There's
like,
things in the Bible that say if your eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. So it's kind of like, as far as the Bible goes, that's his Old Testament. It's like, as far as the Old Testament goes,
a lot of people like they're pretty hardcore with their faith. You know what I mean?
It says, but I don't. But I don't. As far as there's nothing specific in faith that says to.
Says, it's in there.
Don't merge yourself with AI to stay alive, or else you go to hell.
Yeah.
So it's nothing that's at.
It's the mark of the beast, dude.
Line,
it's all about metaphors, interpretations, dude.
That would be
that's something else.
But that's crazy. Mark
Well,
of the beast, man.
I guess on that note, we'll do the top
on a
7.
very dark note of Mark of the beast and the end of the world.
Yeah, I think that's a good end point. We're gonna do like the top 7. I'm gonna have you read some of them, and I'll read some of them. So you just won't be like just sitting there, you know what I mean? So I'll just move this ice to the side, and just let me know when you're ready. It's cool. I'll just put these. See, oops, sorry.
To cue in for the top 7.
Yeah, we need like a band in the background.
Like
right? Yeah. I didn't have to read.
Someone strumming the guitar. Top 7.
Top 7. Okay.
And now,
drum roll. I'm doing a top 7 of AI memes, just memes that I've seen on on Google that I found humorous, and these are the 7 that I read and chuckled. I did an LOL.
Give me a little tickle.
Yeah, give me a little tickle.
I read them and there's a little tickle in my tum-tum, and I thought, I'll read these on.
Yeah, my bird twitched. All right, number 7. I'm going to read this one. Number 7. Humans spend 9,490 days of their life sleeping. With that amount of time, we should be able to take over the world, which AIs wouldn't sleep, right? They don't sleep. They just... And that within itself is hell, because I love to sleep.
Like a robot. It was like AIs should...
Because AIs don't sleep, right? Robots... Oh, well, obviously, because they're just fucking...
Well, they got to recharge, right? They got to,
do robots dream?
They got to update their system. What does a computer do when you do an update? It's basically sleeping.
Well, that's pretty fucking good, dude. Hey, that's fucking good, dude. And then that's how they get the virus.
It needs to update its system. That's why it's sleep. It's basically asleep.
Here you go. Read the next one. No, from the bottom.
Oh, from the bottom.
Yeah.
From the top to the bottom. Can a robot write a symphony? Can a robot take a blank canvas and turn it into a masterpiece? Can you?
Oh, shit. You gave it some character, dude. And why was he Southern?
I don't know. Because I drank too much.
Oh, okay. That's good. I think we need to drink a little bit more, but...
Yeah.
Right. Moving on. Number 5. Sophia's the world's first robot citizen wants a baby. And then we got some tweet in the bottom that says, sis, she should want a wig first, but okay. Which, I don't, I mean, she should have a wig or at least a hat, right? Whoa, that's a little too close to his crotch. It's alright.
It's alright.
There you go. Read this one. If you could.
If AI service robots gain consciousness and develop emotions, would it then be ethical to continue to use them as slaves?
Or what do you think?
I don't know. Might cause an all robot uprising. That's the AI apocalypse right there, you know. And that, but
So Terminator, that's Judgment Day.
I don't know. I mean, see, but then again, would it? You know, what happens if?
What side would you be in? I mean, as long as they, wash the clothes. I mean, I'll treat them out to anyone.
Robot gains consciousness. You know, it's kind of crazy how that's the thing where it's like, well, that's the whole debate. Would a robot be separately gaining consciousness, or would you merge the technology with the human so the consciousness is actually from the human being? That's a robot that merged with a...
You're just going in circles, dude.
A robot, you know? So the consciousness is actually human and not a separate robot. So it's like, that's what I'm telling you, what makes a human still human, to the point where you lose maybe half your brain, only the other half, or you replace your parts of your... Well, you got a mechanical, pacemaker, you got a mechanical heart maybe. Or even a cloned heart, you consider a cloned
The $1 million man. Is he a man or is he a machine?
So you consider a clone, anything that's cloned more lifelike than something that's silicon based, It's carbon versus silicon.
Oh, yeah. Moving on. All right, number 3, this is like a cartoon, not a cartoon, a comic. It says, robots were created by his image, and the other robot says, no chance. No chance. And he has the, Christian robot. Christian robot. Here we go. Next one.
All right. See here. When you ask your human creators about the meaning of your existence, and they start quoting Rick and Morty.
It says, I know you can't read it. It says, like, haha, you're
going to die.
Yeah. Which is true. Because when people start quoting that to an intelligent...
I gotta start watching Rick and Morty.
Oh, you haven't watched Rick and Morty?
I've never seen it.
No?
Nope.
It's fun. It's a fun show, man. It's really good.
Yeah?
Yeah, like, it has... Why, like, are you so against it because it's so popular? Or, you know what I mean?
Not against everything that's popular.
So, like, you go against the grain. So you watch, like...
Not really.
No?
I don't know. I probably a good show. I never watched it. Who knows?
It's good, man. I like it. I think you'll probably like it too. But then again, I don't know.
Movie night. We gotta have one.
Movie night. I know, dude. Once all this shit's
TV
over.
Night.
Number 1. We got number 1. I like this one. This is why it's number 1. What does a robot do at the end of a one-night stand? And it says he nuts and bolts. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's the best meme that I saw about AI, and I chuckled.
Give me a little tickle.
Yeah.
And I went,
hey, man, but Steve,
hey there.
thanks for coming on the show, man. It was really fun talking to you. And
you're gonna untie me now? My feet.
Oh yeah, man.
Fucking tied to the chair.
No, it's all metaphorical. You were tied by imagination.
That rope on my ankle and chair and table doesn't seem metaphorical.
Oh. Yeah, but that's why. Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, if anyone's watching right now, it's like I forgot the address. I was like,
but
I'm in Norwalk.
But thanks for Emmanuel and Monique for helping us out, for the signing up and all that. And if you guys want to do a podcast, or you guys want to do like a concert or something for your church, please contact my friend Emmanuel. It's his company is called Live Stream My Event. And just send me a message or send him a message. He'll hook you up. So we'll see you next time. We'll see you not this Saturday, but next Saturday. And I look forward to that. So until next time, have a nice Saturday.